the restaurant I ate at that was down near the train station. This is what I love and what's embedded in the imagery I have of Europe are beautiful pastry shops like this. Closer view of these pretty buildings with the church in the background and counterpointed by that arch of modern architecture. Another view. The Japanese restaurant. No bad idea considering the number of tourists that may come here from there. Interesting bit of sculpture. I wonder how it looks in the sun. Hopefully we'll find out. Beautifully sculptured. Is it a water fountain? But I can't see where the water comes out, just only where it exits. It's an interesting sculpture achieved with probably the classic drills the industry uses. These become art pieces for this restaurant, or at least this walkway. This flattened obelisk, then embellished with the circular scrapes of a drill of some sort. A sculpture of the cores. That's very clever. Making a nice fountain for your garden, if you can get a backhoe to bring it in. Very clever. If these were by a specific artist, what the artist's background might have been in the drilling of stone industry, and where he gets access. I mean, these are big machines that can carve out a hole like that. A sculpture almost looking like it were a time sundial. Huh. Look at the striations from some kind of drill. Another square, getting us even farther away from our hostel. There with a pretty double church, is it? Who knows? You can hear some of the children screaming in their drunkenness. And this large black obelisk is, I believe, either the Genocide Museum or the Museum of Resistance. We'll walk over to the river from here. So this chronicles the Nazi and the USSR occupation and atrocities. You can add that with confidence. No idea. Here's some apparently major event, although it says Remy right here to the right, which is the name of a large supermarket chain, so maybe that's a large supermarket. From the sign, this is the river this bridge crosses over that runs through Riga. Major river, isn't it? About 6:30 in the morning pan. There's some interesting architecture, both here and in Vilnius, away from the old town. And it may be similar to the dynamic of Berlin. Once you have everything denigrated, misused, abused, destroyed, perhaps it's easy and the motivation is clear for the new and the exciting, the modern, the future looking. Since I've been moving about this church, we'll go over and look at it now. Soviet looking statue really, as a monument to the riflemen in earlier times, stands outside of the Museum of Occupation. looks like a modern church, but if it is, why those arches that have been filled in, which is usually evidence of an older church? Perhaps it is older, just embellished with cleaned brick. Probably looking back at buildings we looked at a little bit earlier this morning. Often wondered what it'd be like to live in one of those turret rooms up at the top. An almost Dixonian experience I envision or imagine. We're outside of, I think, the entrance to this big church. Notice that modern building in the background. I think still trying to allude to older architecture. Well, this is St. Peter's, referring to the Reformation. Martin Luther, 1517. Some very clever architectural detail there. Just using an abstract use of rounded brick pieces, the architects created the illusion of it being an old building, wherein they leave exposed the part underneath the newer surface. Flowers, but they don't feel so pretty in this cold wind. But the gardener's taken great efforts to either create a design we can't appreciate, or at least to create variety in the color layout. Walking around the side, I noticed this little niche, if you will, of a door, but a pretty beautiful door. Curious sculpture. Bronzed smooth by people's hands, touching them for good luck. Looks like a cow, maybe a pig, maybe a cat and a chicken. Another view of the apse, I believe, the back end of the church. The main part, where the altar is. Maybe someday I should learn the actual terms. These walls are remnants of them are original. Across the street from the church is, you guessed it, another church. And that's an inviting archway to walk through. Let's do it. This is St. John's Church. You wonder whether the pointy part arch was original and the others added, or whether it was all just part of the design. But it may well have been something added between buildings to increase real estate. Behind this church, so through this archway, we enter an intimate little courtyard that actually has allusions to a real distant past, and that is those wooden windows up above, whose architectural term I cannot remember, but how old is that wood? How old is that architecture? And continuing our pan, an older building that seems to butt up against what might have been an old city wall. I don't know. An interesting architectural detail. I love the Dresden blue.